Guys, there are spoilers for this film and this review, so if you don't want to get reprogrammed, go out, watch the film, and come back. You have been warned. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, Ron TMHD. So yeah, this is going to be a great time. Hey guys, welcome back to an episode of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, TMHD, and this week we watched Companion, the psychological thriller, black comedy film starring Sophie, Thatcher, and Jack Quaid. This film, I thought, was just very, very fun. I very much liked it. It was very entertaining, very funny. Overall, just a very, very fun movie to watch. I don't know how to describe it, but it was just... Don't say that word. It was a very... I can't say the word. I almost said the word twice. That's a no-no word. But I don't know how to describe it. But before I go on a whole tangent about why I liked this film, I'll tell you why I liked this film and more back at the house.
I know it's gonna sound cheesy, but the moment we locked eyes, there was just a spark.
Hey guys, and welcome back to an episode of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, I'm TMHD, and this week we watched Companion, the new Drew Hancock film, which I do believe is his first feature-length feature. This film is a psychological thriller, more of a black comedy, but it's got a bit of sci-fi in there too. It is starring, Sophie Thatcher, Jack Quaid, Lukas, Gage, and Guillermo. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, which I feel bad about, but I do like you. You're a good actor. I've seen you in a few other things, and I liked you in this movie. You were good in this movie. You're good in a lot of things. You're funny. You're probably the funniest character in this movie. Actually, Jack Quaid was a pretty funny character too. His character was pretty funny, but I do think that I'm going on a bit of a tangent. Either way, this film is just, it's really fun. You know, kind of kept you on the edge of your seat. It was very fast-paced. It really flew by for me. I think I just enjoyed it from top to bottom, beginning to end. I think it was a very entertaining film. It was a very fun film. It was pretty funny, too. And I'll just say that I think that this movie did a lot of things right. While, obviously, it's not a perfect movie, I just think it's a fun, kind of popcorn movie, right? You're not really supposed to think about it that much. I mean, maybe it does have something to say, maybe a little bit about, humans creating, life to kind of use them as, entertainment, basically the kind of the morality of, what if we get to the point where we create basically another human and we just use them as entertainment, like another intelligent creature, and treat them less than human when they're basically human, except for the flesh and blood part. It kind of brings up the morality of that, but that's nothing new, right? A lot of stories, futuristic stories like this, have brought up that idea. Some movies and things that I've even talked about before have brought up this same concept. But I do think that I like the way this film approached it, because unlike films like The Creator or Blade Runner, this film is more of a comedy than anything else. Yeah, it's bloody, right? There's gore in it. I mean, it's not, fucking Terrifier or anything, but it looks good. I think the blood is good. It's, not very, excessive. I mean, there's a blood fountain in one part, which is nice. But, it's used sparingly, right? Only when there's, a big kill. Or even then, not even then. But I do think sometimes people, see blood, a bloody movie or, a violent movie, and they're like, oh, that's a horror movie. But, that's not exactly the case. I mean, maybe the imagery itself could be horrific. but I don't really think that counts as a horror movie. You know what I mean? Horrific imagery doesn't exactly make something a horror movie. It's just horrific imagery. There's a difference. And I think this movie is an example of that. I wouldn't at all consider this a horror movie because it doesn't really follow the same conventions. You know, it doesn't really follow the same tropes or the same ideas of a horror movie. I mean, obviously, a horror movie could be anything, right? I mean, you could call maybe the opening scene to Saving Private Ryan a bit of a horror movie scene, right? Due to its extreme violence and its, you know, horrific imagery. But then again, is it? Because Saving Private Ryan is not a horror movie. It just has horrific imagery. There's a difference, right? And overall, I just think that this film is, I mean, they call it a psychological thriller, but I wouldn't even really call it that. I'd just call it a straight up black comedy. Because, I mean, maybe a bit of a drama too, but it really leans into the comedy part, and that's not a problem, not at all. But I really think just because of the violence, or just because of some of the more mature themes of the film, that people would consider it like a thriller or something like that. When in my opinion, it wasn't really akin to a thriller. There was like jokes back and forth, and that's on purpose, because it's a comedy, right? It's violent, and it's bloody, but, like, comedies can be that. And I like not real-life violence. Don't take my words out of context now. I like fake violence, and when it's fun violence, not, like, excessive, like, nonsense, but I like violence that can be used, like this movie, where, I mean, yeah, it's bloody, but it's not too much, and I think it's used well. And the fact that it's used sparingly and it's used well is basically what I'm saying. But with that being said, what did I think of the movie? Like the writing? What did I think of the jokes? What did I think of that? Now, I think the story was fairly basic, right? I mean, that's not a bad thing either. But the story, I think, it was essentially, the story is this, like, asshole, incel, like, pathetic loser who can't get a girlfriend is like, you know what, I'll just buy one, right? He basically, or actually, was it that he bought her specifically to kill the Russian guy, or did he just make that a part of a plan later? Maybe, I don't know, but he bought a girlfriend because he was a pathetic loser who couldn't actually get a real girlfriend because he's an asshole and a loser, so he manipulated her. Obviously, it's like, the whole idea of robots in this movie is like manipulation, like, you know, using them for your own personal gain or personal entertainment, pleasure, stuff like that. And they basically have like implanted memories that don't exist. Like, they have implanted memories of like them growing up and stuff like that when they're just a robot, right? So basically, they go to this Russian dude's mansion, right? And the Russian dude is a misogynistic asshole, and, you know, he's a bad husband, a bad whatever, he's bad everything, right? He's a dick. And he tries to, like, force himself onto, you know, the main lead, and then she kills him. But it's then revealed that it's part of the plan, and then the whole movie is kind of like a wild goose chase. It's a bit of a wild goose chase of Jack Quaid and his friends trying to catch, Iris is her name. They're trying to catch her. And then it's like a bit of a cat and mouse, where eventually she turns the tables on them, and then they all die. But then Jack Quaid, it's revealed that one of their friends was also a robot that Guillermo, like, fell in love with, you know, for real. Like, he wasn't using him, it seems. He was actually loved him. And Patrick was his name. I think that was Lukas Gage's character. And he's smart. Like, he pieced it together over the years that they had been together. He, like, knew that he was a robot, but he didn't seem to care, you know? And it was a nice little thing there, but then Guillermo dies, and then Jack Quaid, like, reprograms him to have it be him instead, so that Gage's character can, you know, do all these bad things for him and use him for his own gain, kind of like he was using Iris before, but it's even more, where he's like 100% aggressive and he's like a big killer, like who just no remorse, just fucking murders the shit out of people, right? And then the climax of the film is obviously like the final confrontation with Jack Quaid, who went from like an entertaining, like pathetic loser, as I said earlier, to like a genuinely kind of intimidating threat near the end, right? I mean, obviously he was still pathetic, but he kind of had a bit of an intimidating aura to him near the end of the movie, like the very last end of the movie, while still also being very pathetic. Because he is as naturally as a character. Take a shot for every time you say that word. But, essentially the film is Jack Quaid's character manipulates a robot into killing somebody, but then everything literally, it's Murphy's Law. Like, literally everything that can go wrong will go wrong. All of his friends get killed. He kills one of them. He kills one of them so that they don't leave. And then, you know, it's basically just a cat and mouse movie, which I like, right? And also Top G Teddy. We got Top G Teddy at the end of the movie coming in clutch. If you haven't watched the movie, watch the movie. You'll know why Teddy is Top G. I don't know he's a good guy. Okay, we love Teddy in this household. We love Teddy, but I also think it's funny. He's like the only human character that made it out. I think that's really funny. Like this random side character. He's like, yeah, I survived. I made it. I love that. I love that for him. He deserves it. But overall, the film story is basic. I mean, maybe I over like described it a little bit, but yeah, it's a pretty basic story of like it's kind of a chase movie a little bit. But with that being said, now moving along from the story, how about the jokes? I think actually a lot of the comedy landed for me, personally. I just think, like, I don't know how to describe it. It was just funny. You know, I liked the banter between the characters. I liked how, like, it was kind of awkward humor, but in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, not like, I've gotten so sick of The Office. Like, not Office awkward, like, cringe humor, I guess is what they call it. But, like, this movie just felt, like, so, like, everybody felt so, like, like, they were fumbling everything. Because it's, like, what would you do in this situation? You would probably fumble things a lot, right? In this type of situation. So I think, like, there was the natural, like, black comedy in that, and how some characters, like, died, and how some things happened. Obviously, with that being said, I do think the comedy was very funny, to me, at least. Maybe it's not your thing, but it was for me. I did like, I think mainly the funniest stuff was with Jack Quaid and Guillermo's character, Eli. They were the two funniest characters in the movie for me, because, again, they were just kind of, like, they were just funny. I don't know how to describe it. Just watch the movie and maybe you'll get it. So, but overall, with that being said, it was a very entertaining watch. It was a very fun movie. It was very jolly. It was a very fun movie, funny movie, all the adjectives in there. But, yeah, very enjoyable movie overall. Again, while it is not perfect, I did get a hell of a lot of fun out of it. Hell of a lot of enjoyment. But with that being said, would I recommend this film? Yeah, I think I would. Again, maybe you won't find it funny. Comedy is probably the most subjective thing on the planet. But, I think it's funny, and maybe you should give it a chance, and maybe you will find it funny too. So yes, I would recommend it. If you're a fan of any of the actors in this movie, there's a lot of great actors in this movie. The director, who I think is promising. I think the directing in this movie was fairly good. You know, for a first feature-length film. I mean, obviously, he had made a few things before, but they weren't, like, feature-length. So I think this is a pretty good feature-length debut. Maybe I should keep an eye on good old Drew Hancock, see what he's up to next. But, with that being said, yes, I would recommend this film. And with that being said, I would rate this film a 7.5 out of 10. And, yeah, I think I've said what to say. I think I've said my piece. So, guys, hope you like this video. Share with friends, subscribe, turn notifications on. Comment down below if you liked it. But, you guys know, guys, I didn't really mean to say that. What I really meant to say. So if you guys hated this video, unsubscribe, change in the comments. And I've been Run Time HD, off to break free from my programming. I can't do a robot dance. I'm a fraud. So, I don't know if I'm going to touch on this in the review, but one of the characters in the movie is played by, I don't know his name, but he's one of the characters in What We Do in the Shadows. He's Guillermo, and like as soon as I heard his voice, and I'm like, that sounds familiar, and then he walked on screen, I'm like, oh hey Guillermo, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. It was just, I like seeing actors that I recognize. But there's also like a scene in the movie where like there was like a character that's like there's like a twist with them later on, and then when the twist was revealed, I'm like, I fucking knew it. I called it the first scene that he was in, and I'm like, I knew it. Well, guys, I'm stumped.